Hello everyone, I'm Rosie from Rosie Tarot. Today, I'll be using tarot and oracle cards to explore the blessings, lucky opportunities, and positive events that may be coming your way during the second half of 2026. I'll also be doing a separate reading focused on the overall energy of the second half of the year. So stay tuned for that. So, let's go ahead and choose your card and see what messages the cards have for you today. Please choose the card or crystal that draws your attention. Once you've made your choice, head to the corresponding timestamp to watch your reading. Before watching, please take a moment to read the disclaimer in the description box. As this is a general reading, please take only the messages that resonate with you. If something feels uncomfortable or doesn't feel like it's meant for you, I recommend choosing a different pile. Let's get started. Hello to everyone who chose pile 1. It's hard to believe we're already in the second half of 2026. Today, I'll be using tarot and oracle cards to explore the blessings, lucky opportunities, and positive experiences that may be waiting for you during the second half of the year. As I mentioned earlier, I'll also be uploading a separate reading focused on the overall energy and themes of the second half of 2026. So please stay tuned for that. With that said, let's begin your reading. First, let's take a look at your current energy through the tarot cards. All right. Give me a moment while I adjust the cards. The Fool card has appeared. I'm picking up on the energy of a fresh start and new beginnings entering various areas of your life. Usually, when we're about to start something new, it's natural to feel hesitant or uncertain. Even when all the preparations are complete, we often find ourselves thinking, like,
maybe I need a little more time. Maybe I'm not quite ready yet.
And end up putting things off. But in your case, it feels like there came a moment when you said,
Enough. I'm ready. Let's just do it.
rather than allowing fear or doubt to hold you back. It seems that you made a clear decision and courageously took the first step towards something new. The cards seem to suggest that you made a decision that felt right to you. What stands out most is how bravely you seem to have embraced this new beginning, moving forward with a light heart rather than allowing fear or overthinking to weigh you down. However, the Moon card has also appeared, suggesting a sense of uncertainty and instability. Although you've stepped into something new, it may have felt difficult to see exactly where you're headed, as if you're trying to move forward through a fog. Because of this uncertainty, there's a strong possibility that you've been feeling emotionally unsettled or even somewhat down at times. Looking at the energy of these cards, it feels as though you are represented by the crayfish in the image of the Moon card. It's almost like emerging from the water and placing your feet on land for the very first time. You may have found yourself stepping into unfamiliar territory with no clear idea of what lies ahead. It feels as though you couldn't quite predict what might happen next, where this path would lead, or even which direction you should be moving toward. Because of that, there seems to have been a strong sense of uncertainty and uneasiness surrounding this new chapter. Cautiously, for some of you, I'm also picking up on a situation involving a new environment, group or community that you've recently entered. It feels possible that someone who was already established there may have acted as though they had more authority or status than you. As a result, you may have experienced moments of being looked down on, excluded, treated in a somewhat unwelcoming way, or even viewed as competition. This won't apply to everyone, but for some of you, it does feel like there may have been a few uncomfortable incidents or tensions while adjusting to this new situation. It seems likely that this situation weighed quite heavily on you emotionally. For some of you, that emotional burden may have affected not only your emotional state, but your overall energy as well. With that in mind, let's see what blessings, lucky opportunities, or positive experiences may be waiting for you during the second half of 2026 through the Oracle cards. Deep cellular healing, Arcturus energy, physical and emotional healing. When I look at this card, it feels quite clear that the circumstances I mentioned earlier may have placed a significant amount of stress on you, both mentally and physically. Because of that, the biggest blessing entering your life during the second half of 2026 appears to be healing and recovery. This feels like a period of gradually regaining your strength, energy, and sense of balance. You may also find yourself becoming much more aware of the importance of taking care of your physical and emotional well-being. Because of this, it seems likely that you will begin placing your health and well-being higher on your list of priorities during the second half of the year. You may also find yourself focusing on healing and recovery through practical, tangible steps rather than simply pushing through or ignoring what your mind and body need. To give a few examples, you may find yourself choosing healthier ingredients and preparing nourishing meals, getting proper rest instead of staying up until the early hours of the morning, or seeking professional support for your physical and emotional well-being. In one way or another, it feels as though you will be taking better care of yourself, showing yourself more kindness, and giving yourself the attention you've needed. This feels like a very positive and healthy shift. It's not always easy for any of us to take proper care of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being while navigating the demands of everyday life. However, this blessing seems likely to help you regain a sense of vitality and energy, bringing greater peace, balance, and satisfaction into your life. In the process, it feels as though you may gradually begin to recover from the exhaustion caused by the situation I mentioned earlier, and reconnect with the strength needed to move forward. More than anything, this experience may help you realize that no matter what goals you pursue or what path you choose, good health is one of the most important foundations for everything else. Now, let's pull a few tarot cards to explore your oracle card's message in greater detail. Okay. It does seem quite clear that you will be taking concrete action regarding your health during the second half of the year. Personally, I'm also getting the sense that many of those who chose pile 1 tend to be people who take action once they've made up their minds, rather than simply thinking about what they want to do. I'm also see that a particular event or realization may remind you of the importance of your health, motivating you to take even better care of yourself. The message coming through here feels very clear. This focus on prioritizing your well-being seems to be one of the strongest blessings highlighted for you during the second half of 2026. It feels as though positive energy will begin to surround you and fill your life. As your own energy is restored and recharged, there appears to be a strong possibility of positive changes unfolding across many areas of your life. And it also feels as though you will begin to value this renewed energy more deeply, gaining a better understanding of what your body needs and how to care for yourself in a healthy and meaningful way. Through this healing process, it feels as though you may gradually regain your strength and reconnect with the energy needed to move forward into the next chapter of your life. Because of that, the blessing entering your life during the second half of 2026 appears to be more than a simple recovery. It feels like an opportunity to recharge, rebuild your energy, and prepare yourself for a brighter future ahead. So try to make the most of this positive flow and energy by focusing on treating yourself with greater kindness, patience, and care. And that brings us to the end of your reading, Pile 1. Thank you so much for watching. Hello to everyone who chose Pile 2. It's hard to believe we're already in the second half of 2026. Today, I'll be using tarot and oracle cards to explore the blessings, lucky opportunities, and positive experiences that may be waiting for you during the second half of the year. As I mentioned earlier, I'll also be uploading a separate reading focused on the overall energy and themes of the second half of 2026. So please stay tuned for that. With that said, let's begin your reading. First, let's take a look at your current energy through the tarot cards. Okay, let me organize the cards first. The Star card has appeared, which suggests that you've had a clear dream, goal, or vision that you've been holding on to for quite some time. It feels like this is something you've hoped for and worked toward over a long period of time. With the Ace of Pentacles appearing alongside it, I see that you may have finally begun to receive the results, rewards, or tangible outcomes connected to those efforts. In particular, this feels like something that has been built steadily and patiently over time, rather than happening overnight. What stands out here is that these results seem to be taking a tangible form, something you can clearly see, hold on to, or recognize in your everyday life. For example, a relationship that once felt uncertain may have become more clearly defined. A project may have started generating income, or your financial and personal foundations may have become more stable. Whatever form it takes, it feels as though you've recently begun to see meaningful results from something you've been nurturing for quite a while. I also see a lot of celebration surrounding this achievement. It feels as though you were genuinely happy about what had come into your life. And there may have been people around you celebrating with you, or congratulating you as well. Because these blessings or accomplishments felt so valuable, it seems likely that you treated them with great care and appreciation. With the Four of Pentacles appearing, I'm getting the sense that you became quite focused on maintaining and protecting what you had gained. In order to preserve this stability and hold on to what you had worked so hard for, you may have become somewhat cautious when it comes to taking action, embracing change, pursuing further growth, or even communicating with others. However, this card also offers a gentle reminder. If we remain too guarded or stay in our comfort zone for too long, the flow of energy can become restricted. When that happens, our abilities may not be expressed to their fullest potential, and we may end up missing new opportunities that are trying to enter our lives. However, it doesn't feel like you chose to stay there forever. It seems likely that you began making plans for new growth, new opportunities, greater communication, or the next stage of your journey. You may have spent time thinking about where you wanted to go from here, what you wanted to accomplish next, and what would be needed to move forward. After spending so much time protecting what you had built and holding on to a more cautious or defensive position, deciding to open yourself up to change and make plans for the future takes a great deal of courage. Personally, I think that's something worth acknowledging and being proud of. With that in mind, let's see what blessings, lucky opportunities, or positive experiences may be waiting for you during the second half of 2026 through the Oracle cards. all paths lead home. Inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. One thing I'm noticing from this card is that you may have experienced some blocks or uncertainty while trying to make plans for the future. It seems likely that there were moments when you weren't quite sure what you should do, how you should approach something, or what kind of strategy would be most effective. Because of that, your emotions may have felt a little unsettled at times. However, with this oracle card appearing, it feels as though you will be able to find your center during the second half of the year. Rather than focusing only on what's happening around you, you'll also begin turning your attention inward. As a result, there is a strong possibility that you'll discover answers within yourself, answers that you may not have been fully aware of before. By drawing upon that inner wisdom and insight, it seems likely that you'll be able to make positive decisions with greater clarity and confidence. Overall, this feels like a very positive shift, and one that is likely to arrive as a blessing and a source of good fortune in your life. Through this process, it feels as though you will build a deeper sense of trust in yourself and in your own inner guidance. As a result, your inner world may begin to feel more grounded, secure, and supported. The image I'm getting is of a strong, comfortable home being built within your heart, a place where you can feel safe, at peace, and truly yourself. And naturally, you'll come to know how to return to that place whenever you need rest, comfort, or reassurance. This also feels like a very positive blessing entering your life. Now, let's pull a few tarot cards to explore your oracle card's message in greater detail. The tarot cards seem to be confirming this message once again. With the Ace of Swords appearing, it feels as though this blessing may help you reconnect with your own inner authority and confidence in making decisions. Just as the oracle card suggested. As your own sense of direction becomes stronger and clearer, new and positive possibilities seem likely to open up before you. This feels like a very positive and fortunate energy. And the Chariot card has appeared. Once you've made your decision, it feels as though you'll move forward toward a new goal with determination and momentum. I'm seeing you drawing upon the inner wisdom, guidance, and answers we've been talking about, bringing them out into the world and stepping boldly into a new chapter of your life. As your sense of direction and personal will become stronger, it seems likely that you'll begin moving forward quite quickly. There's a strong sense of progress and forward movement here. And I feel like the way these energies are unfolding almost feels like an important turning point in your journey. Overall, this feels like a very powerful and positive flow of energy. At the same time, there is also a point that requires some caution. The energy here suggests that things may start moving very quickly, possibly even faster than you can fully control. Because of this, there may be a risk of losing your balance or feeling overwhelmed if things move too fast. So it feels important to be intentional about pacing yourself and consciously slowing things down when needed. In addition, with this fast-moving energy, there is a possibility that you may start overlooking certain details. Things that require careful attention might not be as easily noticed as they normally would be. In particular, it feels important for you to stay connected to your inner voice and maintain your focus. But this may become more difficult if things move too quickly. So it seems advisable to consciously slow down the pace and also make time to turn inward. Finding ways to reconnect with a sense of inner comfort, almost like the feeling of being safely at home, may help you communicate more clearly with your inner self and stay grounded throughout this process. May you receive this blessing flow and energy with an open heart. That brings us to the end of Pile 2's reading. Thank you so much for watching. Hello to everyone who chose Pile 3. It's hard to believe we're already in the second half of 2026. Today, I'll be using tarot and oracle cards to explore the blessings, lucky opportunities, and positive experiences that may be waiting for you during the second half of the year. As I mentioned earlier, I'll also be uploading a separate reading focused on the overall energy and themes of the second half of 2026. So please stay tuned for that. With that said, let's begin your reading. First, let's take a look at your current energy through the tarot cards. The Three of Swords has appeared. It looks like this is the only card that has come out. Cautiously speaking, it seems that some past emotional wounds, painful memories, or difficult feelings may have resurfaced for you. It may also suggest that you may have experienced some form of emotional hurt during the first half of 2026. Due to various situations and circumstances, it feels like you may have gone through, or may still be going through, a period of emotional pain and difficulty. Shall we take a closer look? The Six of Swords, the Hierophant, and the Knight of Pentacles have appeared. It feels like there was something you truly wanted to pursue, or a belief or direction you strongly resonated with and were ready to act on. However, it seems you may have come up against certain real-world limitations or situations where expectations from family, society, or established beliefs and structures may have played a significant role. Alternatively, even if you were working very hard with a strong focus on results, it may have felt like progress was slow, unclear, or not showing visible outcomes. Because of these circumstances, it seems possible that you may have stepped away from what you were doing, or even distanced yourself from it. During that process, there may have been significant emotional and mental distress, along with a deep sense of disappointment or heart-touch. The cards suggest that these kinds of past wounds may be resurfacing or being brought back into awareness at this time. At the same time, there also seems to be another layer to this energy, where you are beginning to recognize and become more aware of these past emotional experiences, perhaps seeing them from a clearer perspective than before. With that in mind, let's see what blessings, lucky opportunities, or positive experiences may be waiting for you during the second half of 2026 through the Oracle cards. Big picture thinking, Pleiades energy, visionary, inspired ideas. The message from the Oracle cards is that you tend to look beyond conventional ways of thinking and are someone who is open to new possibilities. It also suggests that you have a natural ability to envision a future that others may not yet be able to see. In other words, you may have a strong talent for pioneering new paths and exploring new worlds. or for discovering hidden potential that has not yet been revealed. This feels like the energy of someone who is capable of leading the way and stepping into new territory ahead of others. So, connecting this with the previous reading, it seems that the situations or goals you truly wanted to pursue, but had to step away from due to various reasons, may also be related to this part of your personality and natural gifts. Because you are someone who can see possibilities that others may not easily notice, and who tends to envision a better direction forward. You likely had things you deeply wanted to achieve. As a result, when you had to let go or distance yourself from those paths, the emotional impact and sense of hurt may have felt even greater. You may already be aware of this, or it may still be something you are only beginning to recognize. But you have a natural talent for seeing the bigger picture. It also suggests that you have the potential to guide situations in your life in a more positive and new direction, while also positively influencing the world around you and creating meaningful and beneficial outcomes. In other words, you may have the potential to help things develop in a better direction and bring about positive results, not only in your personal life but also in a broader sense. During the second half of this year, there appears to be a blessing entering your life that helps you become even more clearly aware of these abilities and possibilities. As a result, you may begin to gain a clearer sense of where you want to go, what you want to achieve, and what kind of life you truly wish to live. In this process, your overall vision for your life may gradually become more defined and aligned, which itself feels like a form of good fortune entering your path. In addition, it feels like new goals, plans, or ideas may begin to emerge during the second half of the year as part of a positive flow of energy. At the same time, there also appears to be a connection to earlier emotional wounds mentioned in the reading. If there were things you once had to let go of, step away from, or distance yourself from due to past hurt or circumstances, it feels like you may begin to revisit them during this period. Some of these things may start to take shape again and become more clearly defined as a vision. In addition, there also seems to be a shift where you gain the courage and confidence to move toward that path in a different way than before. There is also a sense that you may find the strength to follow through and stay committed to your intentions. Overall, this energy feels like another positive development and blessing entering your life during the second half of the year. Now, let's pull a few tarot cards to explore your oracle card's message in greater detail. The tarot cards seem to be speaking to you once again. It feels like there is something you truly want, and it may be connected to what has been coming through in this reading so far. However, there also seem to be opposing energies around it, things that stand in contrast to what your heart truly desires. For example, practical considerations, as well as expectations from family and society, along with established rules, principles, and conventional ways of thinking, may be creating inner conflict and making it harder for you to fully move toward what you want. Of course, these influences are important, and in many situations, they can also be helpful and supportive. However, with the Devil card appearing alongside the Oracle card, it feels like these things may be holding you back or keeping you stuck. It does not seem easy to break away from them. Because of this, it is recommended that you accept what you need to accept while taking a step back and looking at the rest from a more objective perspective. For the second half of 2026, there appears to be a positive flow of energy helping your vision and potential become clearer once again. So, I encourage you to receive this blessing and positive energy with an open heart. That brings us to the end of pile number 3's reading. Thank you so much for watching.